Hey, Stage Warriors. This is Don McGrath, co-founder of Speakers Pathway Coalition. And if you've been watching any of the things that I've published lately on this page, you might know that I have been coaching a number of people giving TEDx talks in Cocoa Beach, and I've been having a blast working with them. They're a great group, and it's been a lot of fun. And I've been trying out as much value as I possibly can. I'm honored to work with all of them. And to help me be a better coach for them for a TED Talk, what I've been doing is studying some of the best TED Talks. And one of the things that I do when I watch speakers is, it's hard for me not to do this, is I watch speakers not so much for what they're talking about, but for how they deliver things. I'm absolutely fascinated by the language, by body language, by use of a stage, use of visuals, inflections, all of these things that I've just been a student of for years and years and years. So I really love it. Whenever I'm watching someone on stage live, I can't help myself but take pages and pages of notes. So I've really been having fun doing this with some of the top TED Talks of all time. And so one that I did recently was Simon Sinek's his talk about best leaders lead with why. And so I obviously I can't, because TED is very protective of their material. I can't show you that video, but I did put a link so you can go to TED.com YouTube channel and watch Simon's talk and see what you think. But these are some things that I thought as I watched Simon's talk, and I hope you find this interesting. Obviously, this is just my opinion. I just thought this might give you some insights as to the way a speaker coach might approach looking at the way that speakers speak. So I just thought, I watched this talk and I took tons of notes. I took, I think, 4 pages of notes on Simon's talk. So what I thought might be fun and instructive is I'm just going to walk through my notes and kind of share with you the things that came to me, the things that I thought were really, really brilliant, the things that maybe Simon, could have maybe done a little bit better to be more effective. And this interesting thing about Simon is that his talk was actually a TEDx talk. So the one that you'll see and the one that I'm talking about is a TEDx talk. So it was a small, relatively small local event. It wasn't the big conference, big TED conference. So interestingly enough, he's got over 40, actually today it's 43 million views, and it's the second most popular TED Talk of all time. So you TEDxers, don't lose faith. You can still get tremendous exposure if your talk is like Simon's, which is just absolutely amazing. So I'm just going to share with you my notes, and I'll be interested to hear what you think of this. So Simon's talk, how great leaders lead with why. And so, one thing that's interesting about this Simon's talk is he used a flip chart. You see very, very few TED Talks where people use exclusively a flip chart or use a flip chart at all. You'll see some others where people don't use any kind of visual aids, and Simon chose to use a flip chart, and he used it very, very effectively. So that was kind of interesting about Simon's talk, is he used a flip chart, and I think he only used 2 or 3 pages. Watch the video and you tell me whether he used 2 or 3 pages. So he started his talk off with asking, can you explain why some things work and some things don't? Some things work for some people and some things don't work for other people. And, I thought this opening, once I watched the whole talk and I went back, I thought there was even an opportunity for Simon to maybe make this a little bit stronger, because honestly, I didn't get it until he went a little further. He then goes to talk about 3 examples, 3 stories. And he sets up for all the future stories he's going to tell with 3 examples. And these examples, I assume, were very strategically chosen. They are why Apple is so innovative, when they're just a computer company, why Martin Luther King was able to accomplish what he accomplished when he wasn't the best orator and he wasn't the only person out there doing similar kinds of things. And then why the Wright brothers were the first ones to get to flight. And here's the thing that's brilliant about these examples. Okay, so think about the audience. So what Simon's done, and I assume it's very strategic. So Apple appeals to all the technical people, probably the younger people, or maybe people who are a little more vintage, like myself and my buddy Jim, who's joined. But so by using Apple, he's borrowing some credibility by Apple because a lot of people love Apple. Okay, so automatically he has a huge audience who can resonate with that story. The very technical people, the younger people, the early adopters, the people who would really be interested in a lot of what he says. Okay, and then Martin Luther King. So that appeals to the people who are more movement oriented, who are like, I don't care what technology there is, but I really care about our society, and I care deeply about the people in our society. So by using that example, he's appealing to them. And then the Wright brothers, well, that appeals to the scientific, maybe people like me. So maybe a little bit older, but who like history. So he has managed to take the cross-section of stories which really include a lot of people. So that I thought was tremendously brilliant. And he said that these people are not the only ones doing that, and so there's something else at play. So he then goes on to say, well, I made a discovery, and that led me to change the way that I think. So he's stepping into a position of authority. I made a discovery, and it was there for me to discover. All I had to do was see it and codify it. So he is claiming that, which I thought was brilliant, really establishing that expertise. Because of all the things that Simon does extremely well in this talk, is he comes off as the authority. And that, I believe, is the secret sauce as to why his talk is so amazing. He then goes on to draw a very simple diagram on the flip chart. It says what, how, and why, and with why at the middle. And he goes on to explain that people buy into you and your products because of why you do it, not what you do. And so he uses that throughout. And if you watch the talk, he probably says this 7 times. People buy why you do it, not what you do. And he will say that over and over. And that's a mantra that comes through. And that's a very strong way to kind of pound that into the heads of the people watching. So absolutely fantastic. So I just thought that piece was just amazing what he did. Then he goes on to tell more of the story of Apple computers. And he goes on to say that, you know, if Apple marketed like everybody else did, they would do this in a certain way. They would say, hey, we're an Apple computer, we make a great computer, it runs such and such fast, and it does this and has these features, and would you like to buy one? And instead, they say, we see the world differently. We challenge the status quo at every turn. We think differently, and we make products that are beautiful, fun to use, and user-friendly. Would you like to buy one of our computers? And that is the difference. He says, that is the difference. So he goes on to tell the story. Then he goes on to share some stories about some other companies that started with the what and how it didn't work so well for them. Again, people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it over and over and over again.